Hello everyone. During my long career in clinical research, I have visited hundreds of sites and interacted with a lot of CRCs. And one of the most asked question by them is how to become a CRA from CRC position. So I thought that why not deconstruct all the aspects that are required to become a CRA and help all the CRCs understand what exactly a CRA role is, how do we get to that, and how can we transition ourselves from a CRC to CRA. So make sure you watch this video till the end so that you can completely understand how you can move towards the CRA position and achieve your goal. Without further ado, let's start.
And the top is perfect world. I do have that world without that.
So in this particular session, we are going to break down the transition and understand why we need transition from CRC to CRA. Then we are going to learn what are the required actions that a CRC should take to become a CRA. Then we would look into what is the necessary skill set of a CRA that CRC needs to develop. Finally, we'll understand how CRA preparation is done by the CRCs. And then we'll move on to experience utilization, where your CRC experience can be used into the CRA role. And finally, we'll understand how to make a CRA career and progress forward. So these are all the major topics. Let's understand them one by one. Now, first and foremost, we must understand why is there need for transition from CRC to CRA. Why everyone wants to get into the CRA role. Before we understand why, we must know, for all the viewers who are even not CRCs, let's understand what is the basic qualification for a CRC. Then and only then you can move into the CRA role. So for being a CRC, the first qualification you need is you need to have your graduation or post-graduation in science. It can be in pharmacy, medicine, biotech, or you can have a master's or bachelor's degree in biotech, microbiome, chemistry, botany, zoology, etc. So that is the fundamental requirement. Next, for a CRC, you need some kind of bona fide education. So it can be a certification, diploma, or a degree in clinical research, which can help you get the fundamentals of clinical research. And finally, as a CRC, you need to know that the clinical research core understanding as well as your GCP certification and know-how of the CRC job. Now here I'm assuming that you're already a CRC and want to move to a CRA role, okay? So now let us understand the transition from CRC to CRA role. So whenever you are a CRC, so there is a huge barrier from transitioning from a CRC role to a CRA role, okay? So if you are a clinical research coordinator, the next natural step towards your career advancement is to become a CRA, okay? And a lot of CRC aspire to become a CRA. So to become a CRA, there is a certain attraction, because the CRA position not only gives you the next step, it also gives you ability to travel to multiple locations. It gives you direct exposure to the process like trial design, creation of data management plan, study plans, as well as it provides you a better room and a higher ceiling to move your career forward. Because as a CRC at site, you would max to max become senior CRC or site manager, but it limits your exposure from that particular site only. But as a CRA, it explores yourself to multiple sites. It helps you understand the trial in a more diverse sort of way, and it opens the progress of your career. Now, why is there difficulty in transitioning from CRC, and why a lot of CRCs face issues to become a CRA? So most of the sponsor essentially want to hire CRAs who have past monitoring experience, okay? Because this helps them not to babysit the CRA. It helps them to directly utilize the CRA from the day one and assign them multiple studies and multiple sites, okay? So understand that if you are a sponsor, you would like your CRA to start his monitoring visit, okay? And a lot of sponsors do not want to invest in training, okay? Because the more they invest in training, the more time you're not visiting to multiple sites and your billable hours decrease, okay? So that is why the sponsor always wants the CRAs to be hired who have experience of trial monitoring. Okay. And whenever you are a CRC, the experience of a site coordinator doesn't seem to be that much valued when it comes to hiring CRAs. Okay. Because the reason is that you do not have monitoring experience, okay, of clinical trial. You only have experience of being monitored. Okay. So whenever you are a CRC, being the CRA is a totally different ball game, and the sponsor always wants a CRA who is already trained. Okay. So the training part of a CRC is to be taken care of. Okay. And in GCP also, okay, so a lot of people ask me that where is it written that you need to have experience to be a CRA. Okay. I've seen positions such as fresher CRA also. So some companies do invest in CRA training, or some company do have the bridging programs. But when you see the guidelines, the GCP clearly states that the sponsors are required to hire a qualified CRA. Okay. So this particular terminology in the mind of the sponsor or a CRO essentially highlights that the CRA which is going to be working on a study needs to have experience, okay, of clinical trial monitoring. So you must understand from their perspective also that whenever you join as a CRA, you have to go and conduct monitoring visit. You cannot ask them that what should I do as a CRA, okay? Because that part you already needs to know. Up to a certain level, they can help you understand the procedures and processes, but being a monitor, what is monitoring? That is something that you need to know. Okay. Now let us see how we can do that. So now we are assuming that you are a CRC, and now let us see what are the actions you need to take to transition from the CRC to CRA position. So how do I do it? How do I transition from CRC to CRA? The first and foremost activity that you need to do is don't go for a CRA direct position. Go for a filler position. By a filler position, what I mean is that whenever you transition from a CRC to CRA position, the CRA position comes with certain experience, and that particular experience you are going to get as a CTA role. Okay. So try to look for an opportunity of a CTA, which is clinical trial associate. In this particular role, you would develop skills to be eligible for a CRA position, and that particular position, okay, it will essentially help the sponsor understand that you're qualified of being the CRA. And through that particular progression, they would move you from the CTA to CRA position. Okay. So it is very important to understand that from CRC, you need to go into CTA position, get a foot into door, get the experience and skill set, then move into a CRA position. Okay. If you come across fresher CRA position, I request you not to go for that position, because no matter how much they are willing to train you, they would not train you thoroughly. And if you are not trained thoroughly, if you don't know how to conduct monitoring, you are bound to make mistake, you are bound to miss the eligibility, the trial conduct, and there is a concern of patient safety. Okay. So make sure that before being a CRA, you are very well confident with monitoring. You know what monitoring is and what particular activity is expected from you as per GCP, as per regulatory requirements, okay, as per the industry standards. Okay. So what I would suggest is go for a CTA position first from a CRC. The another route that you can become a CRA is that sometimes the sponsor themselves hire CRC. Okay. So as a CRC, even they get exposure that how you are working at a particular site, and they're willing you to bridge from CRC to CRA position. Even that is another route. Okay. So if you're a sponsor CRC, they have any opening from their end for a CRA, then also they consider you for a CRA position. Okay. And last but not the least, make sure that you network. Make sure you connect with all the CRAs who visit at your site. Make sure you talk to them. Make sure you understand their journey. Ask them how did they become a CRA? Do they have their CRC experience? What and all criteria do they feel were important that made them a good CRA? Communicate with them. Make sure that during the lunch breaks, during some off time when the CRA is ready to talk to you, make sure that you communicate in an efficient manner to understand their perspective and requirements. And finally, prepare yourself. Okay. No matter how much CV you give to strangers, to CRAs, to anyone, until and unless you are prepared yourself to be a CRA, do not apply for a CRA position. I have seen a lot of CRCs who do not understand CRA role. They apply for CRA jobs. When they get interviewed, they do not understand the questions, okay? They fail the interviews, and this leads to them for the confidence to tank. And this particular reduced confidence does not help you to get that position. So make sure you network with the community, with clinical researchers, talk to them, make sure you talk to your CRAs, and finally make sure that you prepare yourself, okay? Now let us see how can that preparation begin. So by preparation, I mean the necessary skill set is need to be understood for a CRA position. You need to understand what are the necessary skill set that I can be able to develop to be a CRA. Now, whenever we look at skill set of a CRA, we are going to look at multiple activities, multiple skill set. Let us understand them one by one. See, the first and foremost skill set would be the basics, okay? Make sure that you understand all the clinical research concepts, all the fundamentals of clinical research. You understand the GCP, okay? IC GCP, E6R8, okay? Then the latest amendment, E6R2, E6R3 is going to come. Make sure you understand your regulatory guidelines, okay? In which particular region you are working. So those basics should be rock solid, okay? Once you have those basics, then you move on to monitoring. You want to become a CRA, you want to become a study monitor, you need to understand what is monitoring. You need to know how is the monitoring process, how does monitoring is being conducted, what are the industry standards and requirement for monitoring. Okay, make sure you understand what are the steps for monitoring. I have made detailed video also in types of monitoring visit. Make sure you can, I'll leave the link in the description. Make sure you look at each and every visit. Okay, so there are multiple types of monitoring visit. You need to understand each one of them. Okay, because based on that understanding only you're going to crack that interview. So make sure your monitoring fundamentals, process and requirements are taken care of. Then you move on to the site. Okay, so make sure you understand how site management is done, how your site management experience can help you be a CRA. Also, you need to understand that whenever you are a CRC, if you face any kind of challenge, you pick up your call, you call to the CRA. You ask them, I'm stuck here and there, and how can I resolve this? But when you are going to be a CRA, you need to solve that problem. You will have multiple sites, 10 sites, 20 sites, and they are going to call you up. They are going to ask you that whether this criteria is fitting into the protocol, whether this eligibility is correct. We have certain requirements for IP, for lab kits, for any other ancillary supplies. Okay, so you need to have that problem solving mindset, because no one is going to babysit you as a CRA. Okay, it is your responsibility, it is your site, you need to solve all the problems. So make sure you understand that also, and make sure you develop a problem solving attitude instead of relying on someone else. As a CRC, you rely on PI for the trial conduct. For other things and other issues, you directly call to your CRAs. But being a CRA, you have to be ready and you have to prepare yourself. So make sure from site end, you're capable of managing the site and you're capable of problem solving also. Our next part would be the communication. Okay, so when you're a CRC, you communicate with the patient, with PI and with CRA. But when you're a CRA, the tables are turned. You have to talk to 10 to 20 sites, 10 to 20 CRCs, 10 to 20 principal investigator. That is the site part. Next part is the sponsor. You have to answer to the sponsor that how the recruitment is going, what are the challenges. Then you have to understand sponsor requirement also. You have to implement that to the site. If you're at a CRO, okay, then you're in between the sponsor and the site. So you have to manage both sponsor requirement as well as the site functioning. Okay, so you have to get things done. So make sure that your communication skills are good. Make sure that all the stakeholders in the trial, including the site, including the sponsor, the CRO requirements, and the coordination, that has to be flawless. Okay, so you need to talk to multiple stakeholders. You need to communicate effectively. Make sure that the fundamentals of communication, such as email writing. I've seen a lot of people, when they write email, they write whatever they think or they say. But when it comes to formal communication during clinical trial, there is a certain level of format that you need to understand. There is a certain level of, for example, subject line in an email. You observe the little things, that what the CRA is giving to you. And whenever you are a CRA, you have to implement that. So make sure your communication is good and you improve on the fundamentals of communications also. Next thing is flexibility. Okay, so when you are a CRC, you are at site and you follow all the site procedures. Okay, whenever the working weeks get end, okay, you go to your home and you are relaxed. But whenever you are a CRA, you have to have tremendous flexibility, because during the CRA role, your time, okay, because CRA role is an operations role, your time would not be restricted from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. This is an operation job. It would require you to manage all the expectation and all the work. So you have to have that time management experience, or you have to develop skills for time management. Also, you're going to travel. Okay, so it does not mean that if I am at a X site, the Y site won't be calling. You will be monitoring, looking at the subject source, reviewing it, and at the same time, you'll get a call from another site for resolving a particular issue. You'll get call from the sponsor to ask you about the recruitment and your implementation plan. So, along with travel, you have to manage all the things, as well as you will have multiple number of trials also. Okay, so you have to manage all the stakeholders, all the trials. You have to be very, very flexible. So that flexibility, the mental flexibility, the physical flexibility, that you have to develop. Okay, so that is also one of the key skill set of a CRA. And last but not the least, multitasking. CRA position is nothing but operating on multiple platforms, multiple stakeholders, and multiple trial requirements. So make sure that you're comfortable with conducting multiple visits. Whenever you complete a visit, you're required to submit reports within a certain time frame. So if I'm doing visit today and I'm going to another site tomorrow, the report has to be prepared. So that timeline you have to manage. You have to manage the recruitment, the trial conduct also, and you also have to manage your KPIs. Okay, so the key performance areas that you're given as a CRA, that also has to be taken care of. So you can understand that whenever you're a CRA, the position is very, very different. You have to develop a lot of skills. And if you're a CRC now, make sure you understand everything. Make sure that you gradually develop this skill. And once you're confident, then we can move to a CRA position. So these are the key and critical skill set that are required for a CRA. So now that we have covered the CRA, CRC transition, the action required to become a CRA, and understood what are the skill set required. So in the next week, we will see how to go into CRA interview. Okay, what are the topics, how to crack that interview. We will understand how to use the CRC experience when you are a CRA. And also we would understand that now once you are a CRA, how you can progress further into CRA role. So please make sure that you subscribe and stay tuned to our channel to see the part 2 of this video and complete your transition from CRC to CRA. So thank you for watching this video till the end. Make sure you like, share and subscribe to our channel, and stay tuned